Well, like he was on PBS and he was like the omelet is. Like,
oh yeah, the French omelet that he does.
Standard video that I show like a young cook is like, go watch Jacques Pépin make a French omelet.
Yeah, or when he debones the chicken like super fast.
Yeah, that too.
Like for Ballantine or whatever, just removes the entire skin.
I love that one.
He's a gangster. They don't make chefs like that anymore.
Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA. I'm your host, André Natera. Today, we welcome back my good friends, Top Chef Season 18 winner, Gabe Erales, and Mike Diaz from Oido in Austin, Texas. This is a fun conversation, just checking in with my friends. We're going to talk mental health, the James Beard Awards, and a lot more. Stay tuned. Great restaurants don't always bring customers in. Great stories do. Because in food, beverage, and hospitality, what you sell is only part of the story. It's the why behind it, the authority you create, and the experience that you build. Market Scale turns expertise into content that connects. Podcasts, video series, and industry education. Not ads, assets. Market Scale has brought Run the Pass and How to Manage Like an Executive Chef to life. Real-world examples of how great content leads the conversation. Because attention is earned, and the industry doesn't need more noise, it needs more leaders.
Chefs, good to see you, man.
What up?
You as well.
How was New York?
New York was good. It was a unique experience for me specifically, and also turned it into a little family trip, so it was good.
What was the competition? What was the concept?
So it was a French culinary competition sponsored by Bertrand, the porcelain company, place and plate company. It's essentially a annual competition, a global competition where the dish of the choux farce, which is a stuffed cabbage, traditional cabbage dish, is, contestants from all over each continent put forth their dish. You apply, you get invited, then you apply, and then you get selected, and then there's like 6 or 7 people that compete in New York with their version of that dish. And you have 3 hours on the day of the competition to execute the dish, and you're assigned a culinary student as your commis the day of it. So you walk in, meet someone new, and you're kind of coaching them to execute your dish. So, they reached out to me and invited me to apply.
Who reached out?
The organization.
The organization, okay.
It's called the Champion de, it's a French name, a big French long name, but I forget, so I don't want to butcher it. Yeah, so I did kind of a Mexican approach to the dish and treated it kind of like a giant tamal in some way. So it was like cabbage and tamal.
Like zacahuil?
Then there was duck farce and pork farce and things like that. And all
Did you do the whole cabbage?
Yeah, so part of the competition is you have to present 2 stuffed cabbages with a sauce, and it has to weigh exactly between 3.5 and 4.2 pounds.
Damn.
So it was really, it was definitely out of my comfort zone, and I think that's why I did it, because I wanted to try something that was out of my comfort zone but still had my fingerprint on it. And there was, Daniel Boulud's executive sous chef was there, and he probably does this shit in his sleep.
Yeah.
And he had like foie gras and morels and he wrapped the whole thing in caul fat. It was really, really impressive and beautiful. And then there's a chef from Canada who won. His name was Dan McKay. He's really, really talented. And his was a little bit more straightforward, but it was beautiful. And I think it was more, I think at the end of the day, it's simplicity and execution.
Yeah.
I think my particular dish would have done better had I had probably 20 more minutes of time. So
yeah, why?
I think the center of it was slightly under.
The masa?
No, the farce.
The farce, yeah. Was it fun?
It was great. It was a great experience. It was really great to see Jacques Pépin and Daniel Boulud and all of these.
Jacques Pépin, how is he? Is he up and about and moving?
He's a little less mobile these days, but mentally he's as sharp as a tack still.
That one of the best books I ever had was Jacques Pépin. He used to have La Technique.
Yeah.
He's teaching you how to make little, peel the asparagus or make little penguins out of eggs. I don't remember if he was doing that, but that old school, make a lemon crown. I used to love that.
Dude,
his YouTube videos are, they're still all out there.
Well, like he was on PBS and he was like the omelet is.
Like, the French omelet that he does.
Standard video that I show like a young cook is like, go watch Jacques Pépin make a French omelet.
Yeah, or when he debones a chicken like super fast.
Yeah, that too.
Like for Ballantine or whatever, it just removes the entire skin.
I love that one.
He's a gangster. They don't make chefs like that anymore. Like just technicians that just, on the basics, like go.
Well, nobody wants to put in the time now.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to just go do their YouTube
they put in the time. They just put it in like not on one thing. They want to put in the time on like 10 different techniques. We're like, no, you're just going to work on chicken for forever. Yeah. Like get really good at chicken for a year, then move on to fish.
Nobody makes you peel 50 pounds of potatoes.
Yeah. I also just think that the way the industry has evolved, the trajectory for a cook these days is much quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think chefs tend to move cooks along more quickly.
Why?
To avoid turnover and keep retention, because now you're in especially in Austin, you're in an industry where every other week there's a new restaurant, and if I'm bored cutting radish small dice for 2 weeks, then I'm just gonna go down the street to the new spot.
That's a good point.
So it's like, okay, let's keep him engaged, let's keep him entertained, and shuffle him along.
Especially if you see potential, right?
Whereas Mike was at Plaza Hotel. What was it? The El Camino.
Yeah.
What was it in El Paso?
Cafe Central.
Yeah. Whereas Mike was at Cafe Central for X amount of time doing the same repetition dishes and techniques and learning it, and where it becomes second nature. People are being pushed along much quicker, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, like,
I feel like I'm guilty of it, and it's like,
for sure,
retention is huge, and like, how do you keep people engaged without saying, "Hey, it's your second week at the restaurant. Can you come up with a dish?"
Well, I also look at it like when I was a young cook. If I didn't know something, I wish I had today's tools. Like, let's just say I didn't know how to butcher a fish properly, and my chef came and gave me a 10-second demo. And said, here, do it like this. Boom. Then he leaves and figure out all the fish, and I'm going to fuck up 15 of them before I get decent at it. I would have loved to have gone home, watch a YouTube video, and say, okay, let me see how so many other chefs, that's what I'm doing wrong. I should, grab it right here or turn the knife that way.
Yeah.
But like back then, I was like, no, I'm going to have to do it 100 times before I notice, just gently adjust your knife a little bit before I figure it out. So I like the idea that a lot of cooks have access to knowledge much quicker, but you still got to do it. You still got to put in the work. You still got to pick up the muscle memory.
It's just like now it's just a tool, right? Like it's like YouTube is like a thing that it's like you have something there for you that gives you that like confidence. Whereas like we read it in books and it was just like maybe a picture and you're like, I don't know about that picture, that doesn't look right. And then seeing like multiple videos of like people doing shit well is
people are building.
It's great. It's awesome. I mean, it's even I use it all the time. We use it all the time, I'm sure. And it's nice. I would have been like on top of like all the technology if I was 22. If all that technology was around when I was 22, I would have been like all over it too. But I don't know. I think Gabe, you make a really good point about like people being engaged and keeping them engaged, so you don't lose. I'm more about retention anyway. So
yeah,
that's a great thing to to keep your staff and just kind of build your team. Having so many restaurants open so quickly in Austin, it's just like you see people jump ship all the time if they're like
the same characters,
just doing
right?
radishes or whatever mundane stuff.
I mean, people build their entire business and careers off of self-learning through home.
Yeah,
you see it like how many of these huge content creators that have the subtitle chef are self-taught through online material and educated, which nothing wrong with that.
You get pretty good self-taught.
Yeah,
now.
nothing wrong with that, but I'm just saying like there's a segment of the industry that's like that where it's
and you go back and for so many years people were big on pedigree. Like, what's your pedigree? Who'd you work under? Who'd they work under? Like, what's your lineage as a chef? And nowadays, I almost feel like that's not as impressive. Like, if you take two successful chefs, right, you just put them up against each other, and you say this person has a pedigree and they're successful, and this person has no pedigree and they're more successful. Like, that's more impressive because they did it on their own. They learned, they were self-taught, they were didactic learners. They had to go and they had to learn on YouTube, or they had to go stage, or they didn't have the mentorship, but they had the drive. Where the other person, they grew up in the kitchen, they had all the mentors, they had all the resources to succeed, and they're both at the same destination at the end of the day. So sometimes I'm more impressed when there isn't a pedigree and they're a successful chef. Like, I find that impressive.
Yeah, I'm not. I guess like I'm guilty. I guess I used to be kind of like elitist in that way, where it's like, yeah, like what's your pedigree and like what's your where have you been and like what do you know and that kind of shit. And then it doesn't bother me as much. I think it's just like bringing attention to our industry, whereas like I guess it was, it wasn't frowned upon, but it wasn't taken as seriously when I first started cooking.
Yeah.
And it was definitely like an upcoming, it was like during Food Network, just like beginning stages.
But part of people getting a pedigree back then was people had PR machines. So you had a lot of great chefs coming out of New York, San Francisco, LA, maybe Chicago, because they had these giant PR teams that people knew what was going on. But like, if you were not in those cities, people most likely didn't know who you were. But it didn't mean that there wasn't great chefs in Denver, in Austin, in Dallas,
sure.
or, in other cities. People just didn't know about them because people were so focused on, the primary markets. And I think now that that you could look on social media and you could look at Instagram and you could say, hey, I'd never heard of that person in Alabama, but man, they're making some good fucking food. Have you checked this out? It's like now it's so much easier to find talent that we would have never discovered before social media.
I wonder what it was like that made dudes like Charlie Trotter, go in like 8 hours before their shift started, just for their own personal gain. It was like, no, I'm not. Like, I don't. They're like, all right, you don't need to be here so early. But it's like, I want to be here. It's like I hold my standards higher for myself, and I don't. It's not necessarily. That's not the only approach nowadays. That used to be the approach, I think, with a lot of cooks, where we admire dudes like that, where it's like, I want to do that too. And then, but nowadays, you don't really have to do that anymore. You can approach it in a different way and still kind of get there, but not,
well, now,
work for free, I guess.
Also nowadays, like, employers kind of frown upon it. It's
Yeah,
like, why are you? I don't want you.
I don't want you exactly.
I don't
I'm
want
the
you
same
here off
way.
the clock, and why are you here? And
yeah, I like paying people for their work.
I mean,
and their time.
But I think if it behooves a cook or a chef to come in and want to do something, investigative or research or practice without being asked to, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it shows kind of your dedication to craft and learning and growth.
Well, I went to Trotter's this weekend, this past, or 2 weeks ago. Yeah. I was at the James Beard Awards. So Bill Kim, who used to be the chef at Trotter's, he was the chef de cuisine. He had 2 stints there. I was doing a panel, and he came up to me. He showed up to the panel. He's like, hey, what are you doing? And I was like, nothing. He's like, come with me after this. I was like, where are we going? It's like, I'm taking you to Trotter's. Because it was like the restaurant that I had never been to. Like, it's my regret. Like, I was in Chicago many times. I never ate there. So I went in. I saw the kitchen. I saw the stove. I saw the dining room. He's taking me and showing me all the books. So Charlie Trotter's son, Dylan, met us there and opened up the restaurant for us, took us to the back. You remember where he used to have that PBS show, the Kitchen Sessions?
Yeah.
So showing us the studio where he cooked. It was wild, man. Like,
cool.
Trotter was like he was my hero. Even though I never met him, he was my hero growing up. I had all his cookbooks. So seeing the kitchen, seeing their small dish station where it's like, how many plates go through there? Yeah. Chef Bill showing me, okay, when orders would come in, this is how they picked up. This how it would expo. I mean, it was like if you go visit like a battlefield and you could still see the ghosts of the soldiers there and you feel it. That's how I felt like being in Trotter's kitchen. Was like, wow, you could feel the energy. Like, I could see the chaos in that kitchen.
Is it still
now.
open for business?
No, so they did a pop-up series where he had like he had Philip Tessier there and he had Ron McKinley. I'm trying to think who else went there.
They've got another one coming up too with all of the ex-chefs.
Yeah.
Like Graham Elliott
cool.
and these guys.
That's dope.
Yeah. I think Dylan is trying to revive the legacy, and
Yes.
and I think from what I read, he's trying to reopen it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's trying to do with it, but I could tell you that he still has it, and it still looks good. They have the original chairs in there. It still has the feeling. I mean, it feels like what I used to see in the pictures.
Yeah.
It was really cool. That was really. I mean, I haven't had those like butterfly feelings in a long time. But being in that kitchen, like it took
that's
me
a
back
pretty
to being a young cook.
happen.
Yeah, it's
like,
amazing. I
That's
saw it when he was there, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty
it's
amazing.
really cool,
Yeah.
dude. I didn't know that you did that. I mean, I used to watch Charlie Trotter like on the Travel Channel before it was the Travel Channel, and then it was like a show called Great Chefs. Did you ever watch that one?
That was my show, man.
Dude,
that was my
love that
fucking show.
so
I
much.
love that
Great
show.
Chefs and Great Chefs of the World.
Great,
and they would do
I get like
they
the Great
would
Chef,
do,
Great City song is looping in my
main
head the other day.
pudding as the like one chef would do a starter, the other one the main, and then the dessert. And I was always like one of my favorite things to watch. It was before like the Bourdain Travel Channel.
And you look at the food now. So I saw a clip of it yesterday on social
so
media. It was
dated.
like watching Jean-Georges make a dessert. I don't remember what it was, but look, no disrespect. Jean-Georges is amazing, but the food looked terrible.
Well, yeah, it's all dated.
It's so dated. I was like, man, this is like culinary school level now. But back then it was like, I was taking notes. I was like, when Great Chefs of the World, because, I think I had TiVo maybe. You remember TiVo?
Yeah.
You had to like pause it.
Yeah.
Like, what is he doing? I would jot down the recipe. It was great. I love that show, man.
I did.
That was my fucking show.
Yeah, that was a good show.
You know what else was a good show? I used to like Emeril's show. I loved Emeril's show back in the day. It was great.
I did.
Yeah, that was good.
Guilty.
Yeah.
I like Essence of Emeril.
What was the difference?
He actually cooked on that one.
What was the other show?
Well, Emeril Live was he was like, you want 37 cloves of garlic in there, and then it was just like for the audience, and it would be like woo, and then you go bam, and then people would get all like riled up and rowdy. But the essence of Emeril was just him with no audience. He was actually cooking dishes. Dude, one of the best meals I've had in New Orleans was at Emeril's.
Really?
Which is crazy because it
I've
was like
never-
it was like
I didn't-
culinary school. Like
I
everything
think I
was
had-
perfect.
I think I had his restaurant in Vegas.
The new one.
I haven't
the sun's
been.
running.
Yeah, I haven't been to that one.
The flagship.
that was
The one that his son's running now?
Yeah,
That looks good.
it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't go this time, but it was a couple of New Orleans trips ago that I went, and I was like, perfect. It was a trip.
You think they'll get a star? Because
I don't know.
the
Without a doubt.
right, the Michelin guide's going through New Orleans, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he will.
Yeah.
Tell him.
One or
He's
two.
great. He's great. I don't know.
I mean, I haven't been.
I haven't been to the new one, so I don't
Only
know.
from what I'm seeing on Instagram, it looks like the New Orleans version of Love Madison or something.
Yeah, some way.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the last time it was barbecue shrimp, and I had eaten like that's like a the dish to eat in New Orleans, and I had already eaten like a bunch of like different versions, peeled, like gotten dirty and everything, and his comes out, it's like 5 perfectly peeled shrimp, sauce poured by the table side, and the thing that fucking blew me away was we had oysters on the half shell, and they had the condiments, and like I don't know how they did it, but the horseradish had this texture. It was so smooth and creamy. I was just like, for the first time in a long time, I was like, how the fuck did they do that? And it was just like horseradish. And it was like they froze horseradish and then they put it in like a Paco jet. And it was like super smooth. And then they packed it into this little square as a condiment. And I was like, I was blown away by the goddamn fucking horseradish. It was that
nice.
good. So I like when that stuff like that happens, where it's like I don't get wowed so much nowadays with a lot of stuff. What's going on with Oido?
Yeah, so I've continued down this path or this journey, so I like to call it, of nonprofit work, and it's been multifaceted to say the least. Like on one side, it's very challenging, and it feels like one of those things that you just learn as you go if you've never been in that part of the world before in terms of nonprofit. And I think maybe we're an exception because we're a smaller nonprofit. We're a $500,000 revenue nonprofit. So it's really just me doing things in the U.S. with the assistance of the board when they want to help, because it's obviously they're not full-time employees. And then, the employees in Mexico whom I support, and they're full-time employees. So we have a program director, a lead instructor, we have chef instructors, we have a community outreach and alumni coordinator, and then we have kind of like an admin coordinator. So it's not a big team. So constantly, it's really interesting for me to see where I focus my efforts, and obviously the most important thing that drives the organization is financials. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly reaching out to people and being like, hey, how about you and I get together and cook together for the benefit of the organization, help provide opportunity for these kids. So then I'm spending a lot of time organizing dinners when I could be trying to write a grant or trying to, there's a lot of other things that come into play.
You're the talent also, and the executive.
Yeah, and I'm also the marketing, and I'm also the creative, and there's a lot of things, and it can be overwhelming, and it's very easy to feel like you're failing. Yeah. So, for lack of better terms, and for me, like the reason I wanted to do this because I felt like beyond, prior I was like, oh, I love Mexican food. It's my culture. It's the way I want to connect. And you probably know this too, Mike, all three of us, but you have that feeling of like, I'm Mexican American, so sometimes I'm too American to be Mexican and not Mexican enough to be American, and or vice, I forget what the saying is, but so finding that way you connect, and cooking was a lot of that for me, and always trying to dig deeper and unscratch the surface of different regions of Mexico and understand the cuisine, and that's my passion. And it's more of beyond cooking. It was almost like culinary anthropology for me, and understanding why these different regions have the same dish and they're called the different things, but opening up this other door and realizing that there's also a way to connect with my family heritage by supporting a community. Because when I go down there and I'm connecting with these kids and understanding them, I'm learning from them more than they're learning from me half the time. And that's really, really humbling and inspiring. And at the same time, it's like, shit, how can I do better for them? Like they look to me to support them. And there's months where it's like, great, how are we going to be able to make our budget? So if I don't make our budget, they're going to cook 3 times less in the kitchen that week. Like there's no handouts for a nonprofit right now, especially a nonprofit that is founded in the U.S. but sends all the revenue to Mexico.
I was gonna ask how so you're only asking people for money in the U.S. or
we do.
How is the asking money to people in Mexico, and how is the program received through the Mexican? I guess. I
think that from the community standpoint, it's well received. We've had corporate sponsorships, but we've never had any very significant financial corporate sponsorships in Mexico or government sponsorships. So, I've only been involved in the organization almost 3 years, and I haven't seen that, and I'm trying to do that, but it's difficult.
I've heard things. I don't know any of the details, but I've heard things like that. Those types of government programs are like last in line for any Mexican or government assistance.
I recently had a call with some executives from Nestle. Mm-hmm. Nestle owns everything in Mexico, and it's they own Abuelita chocolate, they own Maggi. Did you know they own Maggi? And Maggi,
no, I didn't know that.
Maggi wasn't invented in Mexico. It was invented in Europe. And I don't think anybody knows that. The number one Mexican condiment was not even a Mexican-born condiment, and it's owned by Nestle. And the discussion was like, we'd love to help you guys in some way, but we're going to say this right out front, like we don't give out freebies. It's like
they own everything, but they don't give.
Well, it was more of like if you guys want to paint Nestle on the side of your culinary school and promote our products during your culinary classes and things like that. So there's always some kind of, that's why all the OXXOs have all the labels pointed all over them. And the OXXO gas stations. And
they're 7-Eleven. The 7-Eleven equivalent.
For people that, and I know you've talked about this because you've been on the show before and you've explained it, but maybe someone's listening to this episode, they didn't hear the other one. Can you give a brief overview of what Oido is and who it helps?
Yeah, absolutely. So Oido is it's a 501c3 nonprofit based in Mexico. We have a culinary school in Mexico in a small Maya town called Cantunliquin, and we essentially take applications from underprivileged Maya communities where the kids come, and we'll put them through a 2-year culinary program to help provide them pathways, opportunities, mentorship to go on and work in the hospitality industry. You know, you have all of this hospitality and tourism in Cancun, Playa, Tulum, surrounding areas. I mean, even Valladolid now. And, you know, you have big corporate people in there now that do offer things like 401k and benefits and insurance. And that's kind of stuff is unheard of to some of these kids, you know. Some of them are like, oh, I'm going to go work for the cartel. I'm going to go be a runner. And like, that's what my uncle does. And like, you know, that's how we make money. Or, you know, a lot of them are expected to stay living at home for, you know, well into their 20s or 30 until they get married and provide and help support. So it's kind of against the norm to be an 18-year-old and be like, peace out, I'm going to go work and be a chef and make my own money and provide my own, like, that's kind of a little bit taboo. And it's also very different because in some of these my communities, they're very, very reserved and closed off. And it takes a lot to break down this barrier and penetrate that.
Is where the kids are learning how to cook, is that open to the public so people could go try it?
In terms of the food or no. So it's not open to the public. But what we do is we'll, you know, after classes, sometimes we'll take some of the food and the kids will go down to the city center and sell it. Like if they're making conchas, they'll go sell conchas or things like that. And,
That's cool.
So one of the biggest revenue generators for our school is a culinary tour where we host people. We fly them into Cancun. We pick them up at Cancun. You know, we have a tour guide and myself. We drive them to the school. They arrive. We give them a tour of the school, introduce them to the students. And, you know, either the night before or early in the morning, we've put in a cochinita into the ground in the pib. So they arrive and we unearth this amazing cochinita. And that's like your welcome meal. And it's like, you've never had cochinito come out of the ground. Yeah. And we tell them, you know, the kids explain the process, and you know, some of the kids speak in Mayan, and it's a very, very cool experience. And then from there we go to like, you know, we found this biodynamic vanilla farm where this family that immigrated from Veracruz, and you know, we'll go tour this vanilla farm, and then we'll go cook with these Mayan ladies in the hut, and they'll do like huevos encamisados. And
what is that?
Essentially, you take a tortilla, you cook it on the comal. When it inflates, you cut it open, you put an egg in it. And then you cook this tortilla with the egg inside. So you have like this, well, in Mexico, it's always cooked hard, but when I do it, it's soft. It's soft. But, you know, and then you have this amazing habanero salsa, and it's cool. It's really, really cool.
So I want people to know how they could support, but I guess how could they support would be question one, but also if they wanted to get involved, like go on one of these tours, how do they learn more about that?
Yeah, so, you know, Oido.co is the website, and there's a page there where you can submit an interest form. We haven't got to the point where we schedule them regularly. We kind of are doing it in a way of like, if you show interest, we'll custom curate a trip for you and your group. You know, and the tour ends on Holbox Island. You take a ferry from Chiquila, which is a small fishing village. You go to Holbox, and you know, we do we're working with some of the chefs that have some of the nicer restaurants there. We'll do like cooking classes in the restaurant. We go line fishing. We go out to some islands where there's cenotes and go swimming. And
for people that don't know, what's a cenote?
A cenote is basically a natural swimming hole caused from, you know, these sinkholes where the water came up after when they think the dinosaurs were extinct from the asteroid or hit yeah. So the asteroid that hit Earth that wiped out all the dinosaurs hit in the Yucatan, and it created such an implosion that sinkholes popped up all over the Yucatan. That's where you have these crystal clear cenotes all over, and you go swimming in them, and it's regenerative water. It's beautiful.
And so if people wanted to donate, they could go to the website. What if they want to go to some of your dinners? Like how could they follow along, and what dinners do you have?
I mean, we're always promoting everything we're doing on the Instagram, Oido at oido.co. Obviously my personal Instagram, G_Erales. You know, we promote a lot. We're now selling things like, you know, these beautiful chain stitch hats from a local artist here, Christina Hurt-Smith. So we got a few different things. We were doing a private at-home taco omakase raffle where I have a chef that I collaborate with, you know, someone like Mike. Hey, would you be willing to donate a night in June or July we raffle tickets, and then we'll show up to your house. We just did one Friday.
Yeah.
We show up to your house, and they sit in. We bring everything, and it's
how
like
many people?
For two.
For two. Okay, so you show up and
We show up. They just sit down, and we do a 5-course taco tasting with mezcal pairings.
who did it?
Joseph Gomez did this last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we showed up, and it was. I mean, this couple. They were just kind of like in awe. They're like, we've never really had this.
I'll do a taco tasting for two people. Like, I'll cook with you. If you want. Throw me in for a raffle.
Their daughter was just in the background, and we were pouring them all these different varieties of mezcal, and it was fun. It was fun. It was a good time. It's a good cause. You can get 3 tickets for $100.
That's not bad.
So it's not bad.
I need to do that because I have fun. Number one, I'm rusty, but I want to cook with you, and it'd be fun.
I think at the end of the day, it's probably at least a $250 meal.
So for people listening, Gabe, follow Oido. He's gonna do a taco raffle with me, him, and Mike.
Hell yeah.
The three of us.
I would
right?
love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it'd be
I'd love
fun.
to. I think it's also a good opportunity where you get these fun collaborative things of like Mike's style of cooking and, the amazing things Mike's doing at Oseo with Korean and infusion of interjection of Mexican cuisine. And I think it's really amazing. I've had some
Switching it up. Yeah.
I've had some amazing Mexican Korean dishes at Oseo. I love Oseo. So
We're trying to keep it fresh over there with a little more Texas Mexican flair, but
Yeah.
And you've had a little bit more freedom on that aspect from.
it's been nice. I'm not gonna lie. I love using a lot of the local farms for like banchan and stuff like that. Like that has been my sort of approach to keeping my menu a little bit local. But yeah, I mean, I
think that was the most funnest part of the dinner we did together with the banchan, to be honest.
I like the whimsical things that we came up with because it was just like I'm sort of you get used to your routine and you're like bring somebody else in and it's just like I didn't think about that. Oh, okay, and it's nice. I love working with friends.
Yeah, it was fun.
We did a cool dinner last year that we're gonna do this.
Oh yeah, we're gonna redo it. This was actually for a cancer foundation.
Yeah.
It's a different.
But it was
another good cause.
Another great cause. So we'll have to
That's dope.
bring you up to speed on that. But it was cool. We did, kind of this intersection of Mexican Korean. It was really natural for us, and we had it was like what 50 people.
It was about 60
or 60.
60.
Oh no, it was more. 'Cause
No,
we were looking for 80, right?
That's right. Yeah, it was like
it was a lot.
70, something like that.
And then we had these huge auction. They were auctioning off a Taylor Swift signed guitar and like all kinds of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, it was cool.
What was the one you just did? Didn't you just do one with Jake?
Yeah, that was, or we did Jake and my friend James Wayman and I. We did that in Rhode Island. That was an Oido benefit dinner.
How was that? That
It's
looked
great.
fun.
It was great. I mean, going to a different part of the country and a part of the country where they're probably less apt to understand about what we're doing in Mexico, but nonetheless, people that love traveling to Mexico, and it's like beyond embracing the culture and the cuisine and the vacation, how can I find a way to give back? And I think it's an opportunity to educate.
So there's a big educational component, like not just educating the students, but also educating the public.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked that there's not more support from the Mexico side. I mean, but it makes sense. I get why, but it just would be nice if it was, I don't know, embraced a little bit more locally. But like, it is tough to
it's
especially using your Hershey's or Nestle example. But
I mean, I think there's no lack of support from chefs. But it's big corporations and big money and things like that. And, and I've only been at the helm of the organization for a little less than a year. So I'm still learning and still trying to, but I think that, also for example, like trying to do a benefit dinner in Mexico for $200 a ticket, like that's a big ask in Mexico versus, trying to do that in the U.S. So it's just a different way to approach things.
And it's almost better to ask for money here.
Yeah. I mean, it really... yeah. I mean, I think one of the things we find we're more successful at in Mexico is in-kind donations that are like, computers or product for the school or, we'll come paint the school for free or something like that.
Yeah.
That tour sounds fun.
You guys are always welcome. And one of the things that I want to get into doing is, and I'm trying, because I feel like I'm so overwhelmed, is I'm trying to create this chef ambassador program where every time we book one of these tours, like, I don't need to be the guy leading it. And I can be like, you're going with Chef Mike Diaz this time. Mike, you're going.
Dude, I'm surprised you said you do all that stuff and you're like a dad. You got 3 kids.
And you got a restaurant.
It's a lot. I mean, I felt it this summer, and Ella, the youngest, she took up softball in the spring, and she was a natural, and she was like such a little Princess Barbie girl. She came home one day, and not to diverge by any means, but she came home one day, and she's like, Daddy, I got to play softball. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? She's like, yeah, Katie and so-and-so are playing softball. Can you sign me up for softball? So, we investigated it. We signed her up. She ends up doing amazing. Like, awesome. Natural, loves it. She wants to practice on her own time. And that's just like, if they want to do it on their own time, that's huge for me, right? So this summer, I'm like, okay, I got to find her another league to keep the momentum going. And I try and sign her up, and the commissioner emails me. He's like, hey, we're all full, but if you coach, we'll find a place for her on the team. So here I find myself coaching her softball team this summer.
It's funny because every time I see you, or I'll text you. So people that are listening, like, I'll text Gabe. The first thing I always ask is, are you free? Because I don't know. Like, no, I'm at an airport. Or, no, I'm traveling. But that's usually the first question I ask, like, do you have a second? Because I'm always thinking, like, I don't even know where you are. You might be in Mexico. You might be in New York. You might be in Washington. You might be in Austin. I have no idea. But you're honestly one of the busiest people I know. You're always traveling.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing is I'll text. I was like, you free? He's like, I always got time for you. And I'm like, I don't know how you say that. Like,
I think that's part of, I don't know. I think in this industry, and we've probably had a deeper conversation on this, and Mike, you could probably chime in, but I feel like it's very easy to be in an industry where people only want you when they need something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very important to make it feel reciprocated, where, I'm not just calling you because I want you to host me at the dinner. It's just like, I want to be there I want to show up for you.
Yeah.
And I want to show up for you. And like, there's also, we all know there's times when you need something and it's just like, oh, the response on the other end is, if it doesn't really benefit me, I don't really think it serves me. And it's like, that's fucked up.
It is.
Yeah. Or if you're not
wrong, dude.
And if you're not the hottest thing at the moment, then what the fuck do I need to do anything with you for?
Right. It's like when I was a chef, as soon as you walk in the door, like, chef, do you got a minute? Chef, do you got a minute? It's like, I used to hate that because it was never anything for me. It was like, oh, can I get a day off? Can I get a raise? Can I, so-and-so's being mean to me. Or, hey, we got a leak over here. You forgot to order. It was like always some shit that I had to deal with. Like, no one ever says, chef, do you got a minute? Yeah. How are you? Like, that never happens. Like, how's your day going? Like, that doesn't happen. But it's funny because the same thing happens in real life. Like, whenever someone reaches out to me, it's like, fuck. What do I have to do? Like, what do they need from me? But it's funny because I'll commend Gabe for this, because I don't want to say this has never happened. It happens, but it happened recently, and it made me think about it, something Gabe did. So for people listening, think about what he did. Do that. You texted me randomly. I don't know if I had been quiet for a while, and you just checking in, making sure you're good. I was like, yeah, I'm good. Why are you checking in? Like, I was just thinking about you, just making sure you're good. We talked for a little bit. But the thing is I wasn't good. Like, I wasn't good at that moment. I was like stressed and I was pissed off. Like, something was going on with me. And
Were you still cooking, dude?
No, it was like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
It was like a month ago. I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. He just checked in. And I was like, no one checks in like that. Like, hey, just, are you good? And I think chefs need to check in on their chef friends occasionally instead of just always hitting them up for something.
I think you're right. There's always like whenever I feel like taken for granted at work, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, it would be nice to get a, hey, chef, thanks for that, or whatever. I always, and I always kind of start getting a little salty about, whatever. And then it's funny, like, I have this reaction, and when I do get that, like, reassurance or whatever, validation, and I'm like, I don't want it,
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, we definitely need to check in on homies. Who else is going to understand you better than, a fellow homie that's, you know, in the trenches or has been through that same shit as you have. And yeah, a lot of the times, you know, you don't get that. You know, it's always like, hey, dude, you know, you got a dude that can wash dishes for me, or like, you know, like,
right. And
hey,
we don't want to check in with other
something.
chefs because we just assume they're busy. Like,
Yeah,
what am I gonna,
that's another
like,
one.
why am I going to check on? He's probably working the line. He's probably doing service. Like, I'm not going to bother him.
Totally.
But when, you know, Gabe checked in on me, like, it felt good because like people don't really check in on me, right? Someone else that did that was Chef Barton Seaver. A while back, he checked in on me. So shout out to Barton Seaver. He reached out and was like, hey, just checking in to make sure you're good. Hope you're doing well. Let me know if you need anything. I don't remember. It was like really nice. And I was like, what does he need? So I messaged like, what's up, chef? You good? Like, what do you need? Nothing. Like nothing. Just want to check on you, make sure you're good. And I thought about this like, yeah, we don't do that as chefs. We don't check in and just, hey, make sure you're good. I know I don't do it. I'm bad at it.
I thought about this not that long ago, which was having, I don't know, like a support group for like chefs to kind of like, you know, other chef fellas.
Called bar chef.
Never mind.
Where everybody goes and bitches. No, I know, but there could be like a chef's AA.
But what about like there's so many people that like drinking does the opposite. You know, like where it's like, fuck.
Well, that's how it's been done.
Yeah. It's like you just like throw
if you don't work
alcohol,
at the same restaurant, you end up at the same spot.
throw alcohol at it and shit. But it's like I think I'm feeling it. I'm trying to take better care of myself and trying to like not, you know, do what I was doing in my late 20s, early 30s, and it's sometimes it's just like, hey, you know, like let's just.
What do you do to unwind? Like when you say like, hey, I just want to fucking chill. I want to unwind. What does that look like for you to like de-stress?
Well, unlike a lot of cooks, thoroughly enjoy cooking at home.
Yeah.
Like that to me is along with like gardening and just, I'm a tinkerer. I just fuck around. I like take shit apart. Like I taught myself how to woodwork, and you know, gardening is a really therapeutic thing for me. I have a shit ton of plants. I do a lot of, I don't know, just like self sort of like, you know, care. I mean, as self-care, working out, like just not, you know, thinking that I can eat like I'm fucking 18 again. You know, but my Zen place is my garden for sure.
Yeah, just gardening.
Yeah, just
alone
gardening,
or like with
just by myself
Laura?
with my dog. No, I mean Laura's she loves to cook too, and you know, like it's our favorite restaurant in town, our own kitchen. But unwinding for sure for me, it would be just like having a White Claw in the hammock in the backyard and fucking just chilling by the garden, man. Like I don't need much these days. I don't need to like go have a, you know, shot in a beer after work every night.
I mean, I don't mind it. I don't mind a drink. I'll have like an old fashioned or tequila.
I love it, dude.
I'm okay. Like for me, I'll chill with a cigar. Like I know people are like, oh, cigar. No, I like cigars. Yeah. Like for me, that's my thing. I want to smoke a cigar. I want to chill. I don't mind being at a bar if it's like a quiet bar where I could have a conversation, because I don't like being in loud places. Because if I'm at a bar with someone I want to have a conversation with, I don't just want to look at people. Yeah. Like, so if I go to somewhere chill, I want to smoke a cigar. My best spot in Austin is the rooftop at the Fairmont, the 7th floor, the rooftop bar where they have good Mexican food.
Was that your mandatory Fairmont?
No. They don't pay me. They don't pay me. But, there's no mandatory plug. I'm just shouting them out because it is a good spot. Like honestly, I think
we need to go. The food actually,
the food's good.
Food looks good.
So they let you smoke up there?
Yeah, they have like a pre-prohibition cigars.
Okay.
Yeah, like they have a great cigar program.
I need you to teach me about cigars because I don't know shit about cigars.
Honestly, the only thing that you got to know about cigars is like
macanudos. Or
the only thing you got to learn about cigars is like just show up with someone that knows how to smoke a cigar, and just like take your time and enjoy it. Like it's something to enjoy. But I like for me, if I'm gonna unwind, I'll be like, let's go somewhere where we could talk still, like the music's not so loud that I can't hear you. We could smoke a cigar. I could have a drink. I'm not trying to get hammered. I just want to have a drink, and I want to enjoy the company of the people that I'm with good conversation.
Yeah. I like that's what bars. I like that bars. Where do you like to go?
I love mezcal.
I
mean, I don't.
That's your happy place, mezcal.
I mean, I love mezcal, but
Same.
I've kind of been really, really focused on not having more than 1 or 2 drinks a week at max. Like right now, I'm like on almost a 4-week stretch of no alcohol, just because I'm trying to like. I've just been really, really trying to focus in on like my health and like certain things that make me feel better.
Yeah.
But I love for example, Friday we did this dinner, and I went out and bought like 6 amazing bottles of agave, and we were pouring and we were taking little tiny sips, but it's much different now. But I think my happy place is just like hanging out with my kids and cooking and reading and things like that. Exercising for sure. I love swimming right now and running. Going back to the check-in thing, how does that? It made me wonder, Mike. How does that work with you and Laura? Since you both work together, you're both chefs. Like, do you feel like you guys get home? Like her checking in with you is not the same as like André calling and checking in with you.
No, it's
or does it? Do you think that would still be like you still need that discussion with someone outside of your relationship because it is in the business?
I'm lucky, honestly. You're bringing up a good point. I'm lucky because Laura's also a chef, and I can vent to her and like in real time.
And she's a voice of reason. Will put you in your place
for sure, for sure. Absolutely. No, that's 100% true. But at the same time, I feel like there is like everybody's different, but the dynamic that we have at home versus the dynamic at work, right? Like, because we both work together. And so that's very much like, a respectful, like professional, like, I have my moments just like everybody else because I'm stubborn from time to time, and she is very much the voice of reason. But when we check in at home, it's like, hey, like, it's kind of like, hey, we need to talk about this and how to like, let's figure it out. It's a very like straightforward, logical, just like, like, hey, I didn't like that shit you did at work, and you're right, that was fucked up, and then I won't do that. But I do have like moments where I need to be like, hey, I'm feeling underappreciated right now. And then she'll be, the voice of reason with that, where it's like, you do a lot, you're right. And we're not, giving you that validation that you need to. And I don't need a lot of validation, but you know what I mean? Like, just like acknowledging that, like, shit just doesn't happen. People, product just doesn't appear, or that person's not happy, and they get spoken to in the right time about the right thing. And and a lot of times I'm like, man, what would this place be if I wasn't here? And then Laura's right there to just be like, you're definitely like the main reason, or a huge reason as to why this place runs smoothly. And it's like, okay. And then sometimes it's just like, hey, like I'm kind of bummed out, and I don't, I'm not motivated right now. And we kind of have to balance each other out, where she's not, because it goes both ways, right? She feels like not unmotivated or down on herself for whatever reason. And I have to be the bigger person and just be there for her and be supportive. And I'm lucky because we have that dynamic. Not a lot of people have that dynamic. My ex-girlfriend was in law school, and she was like, she had no idea what I would go through on a daily as a chef. And so I guess that in that regard, I'm very lucky that I have that at home.
Yeah, I think a lot of chefs should check in with other chefs. Like, check in with, especially the ones that mean something to you, right? I think maybe it was taboo years ago. And it wasn't even it wasn't taboo. It was just like, you didn't think about it. I think now we know better. Check in with your chefs, because we all know it's a grind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it feels good. Like, I was so happy that Gabe checked in on me, or whoever checks in on me. Like, it made me feel good. Like, I was like, holy shit, someone's checking on me? Normally people are hitting me up because they need something.
Well, it's look at us talking about like how it's taboo, and it's like being vulnerable is taboo. Like it's more accepted now, where it's like, you know, I don't want to sound like current events or anything, but it's like, yeah, now it's looked as more of a positive than, you know, a weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was a situation recently where, you know, I've become close friends with, you know, chefs that worked for me in the past, and we've maintained that relationship. But I feel like they always come to me for guidance and advice, and, you know, for support, and you know, all of those things. And there was a moment where I was like in the middle of this conversation, and one of these chefs was like, "Well, how are things with you?" And I was, you know, mentally I was kind of in another place, and I was, you know, feeling a little bummed about a few things, and I hesitated, and I was like, should I share this with somebody that I feel looks up to me, and, you know, I'm a role model too, and I didn't share. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know, and I left, and I was like, man, that was kind of a pussy move. I was like, because I'm not, you know, I got to show that I'm vulnerable and that I fail and do things like that.
Yeah.
So that actually weighed heavy on my mind for a while. And I was like, why didn't I, you know, share that, you know, I was going through this or that. And so,
well, it could be, yeah, like in that moment, like now
it's different with a peer versus someone that you think looks up to you, comes to you for guidance. And
it could have been like something that, like, if you would have told them that, maybe it would have like been more impressionable.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But I get it.
I have a friend that psychoanalyzed my podcast. And he said that I'm working out my issues through the podcast. I'm like, what? I thought, okay, that's an interesting perspective. But like,
are you?
I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with being a chef. I'll tell you that. Because I love being a chef, but there's a lot about the industry that I don't love. And that's honestly why I started this podcast, was to hopefully have some of those conversations with people that I wish people had with me.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, so maybe I am working some of that out, but for the next generation, you know, so that they don't make some of the same mistakes. Like, because I feel like in the generation when I came up, there was a lot of gatekeeping, you know, like people were reluctant to share knowledge. And it wasn't that they were necessarily reluctant, but it was also, it's busy. Like, no one had time to, you know, we didn't have the internet as much, right? And now it's like, okay, well, now I have this platform where I could share some of the mistakes that I've made, you know, teach them about food cost earlier in their career. Like, hey, it's important. It's not that important, but it is important. Teach them how to maybe avoid some of the marketing pitfalls that they may have. Like, whatever mistake I made along the way, if I could help someone, I feel good about that. Because, like, I guess I'm trying to say is, like, I'm trying to be that chef that I needed.
Yeah. Some of the things I don't have a love-hate relationship with being a chef, but I feel like I don't want to have that, like, I have these regrets and stuff, but I do think about, like, when I was a young cook and how much I broke my back for others, and how much, like, I could have broken my back in the same way, but, like, you know, just more of a, for me, more to where, not that I'm not in a good place right now, but I think I just, like, but I don't want to look at it as like, fuck, I regret that, you know. Yeah. But I do feel like, man, like, I was always under the impression that, like, I was gonna meet a chef and they were gonna take me under their wing and they're gonna whip me into shape, and then I just never found that chef, or that chef never like took me under his wing or whatever. So, like, in that regard, I felt like I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing in order to find that chef. And then along the way, it just, like, it never happened. And then I just was like, oh, I guess, fuck, this is my story or my journey, and I made the best of it. But I think if we had some guidance, like, to be like, hey, knucklehead, like, really focus on advocating for yourself. Yeah. Versus just, like, keep your head down and shut up, and then work there for a year and then ask for a raise. You know, like, that's not the mentality anymore.
I think my biggest piece of advice to cooks who consider me a mentor is be selfish for yourself always.
Always?
Yeah. Like, in terms of your career, be selfish. Like, if you think it's better for your career, like think about yourself first.
I agree.
Do you think, because that's interesting, because another way to also think about it is like sometimes I've had cooks that work for me that want to be selfish for their career, and they'll say that like, I'm being selfish for me, but I know they're making a bad decision. And it's like the wiser chef in me is saying, look, I'm not telling you this because I want to keep you to manipulate you or to prevent you from growing, but I know that, I'll give you an example. I had someone that worked for me that wanted to quit working, in a fine dining restaurant so they could go be like a sous chef in something that wasn't going to benefit them, but they wanted the title. And they were going to say, I'm going to kind of go work at this crappy restaurant just so I could say I'm a sous chef. And so like, I know you want to do that. And I know you want the title really bad. And I know it's a dollar more, but trust me, 6 months here will land you the bigger job versus that one, because you're going to get stuck there. You're going to get stuck and pigeonholed in this kind of type of restaurant that I already know you don't want to be in. You're more after the title. So I guess my question to you, Gabe, is like, at what point, how do you teach someone to be able to say, like, look out for you, but you might not always be right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a situational impact. But when I mean be selfish for yourself, I think that consider how it's going to impact your personal life more than someone else's.
Yeah.
So it's not always, when I say be selfish for yourself, it's not always about don't listen to what the guidance that a mentor or someone is giving you, but you should think about how it impacts your trajectory, your career, things like that.
That's a good point. I think one of the best things a young chef could do, or I mean, you don't even have to be a young chef, just a chef, is have a mentor if you can. Maybe you're not in a position where you can have a mentor, but have a friend that's honest with you. Like another chef, someone that's in the industry that they could be honest with you and say, hey, that maybe you're wrong or maybe you're right. Like, because I think a lot of times people are making decisions and they're not thinking about the bigger picture all the time. And it's really easy to get lost in that. And sometimes they need someone like Gabe or like you or like me to, that has no vested interest in, like I guess what I'm trying to say is that mentor, you don't necessarily work for them, right? Yeah. So like they don't have any financial incentive. They have no incentive.
Yeah, and that's where I was in this position.
Yeah, that's what you want.
And I was just like, man.
I mean, I was thinking of your example is like, you're when that person's gonna make or could potentially be making a mistake, right? It's like sometimes you can't control that, even if you did tell them that. And so like they have to be honest with themselves about it. I had a friend that it's kind of bullshit like his way through like situations. It was just like early on in my career. It was probably like right out of culinary school, and it was like one of the most frustrating things for my friend was his chef, and he was just a cook. But everything was like every excuse here for that, and like never taking ownership of what he was being called out on. And it was just like a frustrating thing for her to have to deal with that kind of shit. So like the more you're honest with yourself about, like, instead of just being like, I think I know that this is the right move, because it's like what Gabe's saying, it's like, yeah, be selfish, make that move for yourself, but don't do it at the expense of just like, no, I know what I'm doing. It's just like, and it's just like you're probably seeing something that they're not seeing because of your experience or somebody else's experience, and just it fucks you up. So like just be honest with yourself about like what it is that you're trying to do, and not bullshit yourself through something that's like clearly hey, I don't know. I don't fucking know what's going to happen with this. You know what? You're right. I'm going to take your advice. But yeah, you can't really control somebody if they're just like set on what they're going to do.
So I haven't, by the way, I think between the two of you and Rico have been on the podcast the most, more than, except for me. Right? So I think this is your third time. It's your third time, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I've never asked, so a lot of times when I'm wrapping up the podcast, going down into like the station setup in your kitchen. So I'm going to ask, but I wanted both of, so it's a question, but the question's for both of you. in your kitchen, when you're setting up your station, right? What's on your workstation? So I'll start with Gabe.
Is my station a station, or is my
like
station
you're
the
finishing.
pass?
Let's say you're finishing at the pass.
So we're expoing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or am I on a station?
I don't know. Let's just say when you're at work, where do you work?
I'm usually expo.
Okay, so let's assume that.
Yeah.
Let's assume you're running the kitchen. You're calling the pass.
I think obviously a marker, some plate wipes,
Sharpie.
a Sharpie, plate wipes,
How do you do your plate
a cake
wipes?
tester. My preference for plate wipes are diapers cut. You know, I call them diapers.
The is super absorbent.
Super absorbent, like fish towels. Cut fish towels and vodka.
Ooh.
And a cake tester.
Do you cut them in squares or do you roll them?
I cut them in squares.
Yeah.
I cut them in squares because I find that when you roll them, they come unrolled and then get all over the place and start looking like a snotty rag.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd rather just have a nice square that holds 2 fingers.
One,
and
done,
it's one and done. Yeah.
Nice.
Because I've seen people roll them and reuse them, and then it just I don't know, preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, aside from like a situational setup for a restaurant, that's like finishing salts and oils.
What's the finishing salt? Like your preference?
I like, for me, I like sal de Colima.
What is that?
It's like a salt from Colima, Mexico.
Yeah.
It's very, very.
Is it coarse?
Yeah, it's coarse.
Like Maldon?
No, it's more rocky.
Okay.
Or Maldon is like flat little flakes.
Okay.
I love Maldon though.
Yeah. And do you do like on your finishing station like a acidity? Do you use lemons or citrus, or do you use vinegar? Like if you had an all-purpose finishing.
An all-purpose finishing?
Like in general.
I mean, that's tricky for me because I think it's so dish dependent. But if I was making an all-purpose finishing, it would be some kind of like mild vinegar, like mild ferment.
Yeah.
You know, like a ferment brine or something like that.
Yeah. How would you make that?
I'll just take the brine from something that you fermented, and we usually like reduce it and clarify it, and then you have this like clear-looking, delicious umami.
Yeah.
Acidic liquid.
You clarifying it like by freezing it or with agar?
Yeah. Like freeze clarified.
Yeah. And what kind of salt do you use in the kitchen? Diamond Crystal or Morton's?
I like Diamond Crystal.
Like Diamond. What about your tape, chef? Is it green or is it blue?
Green.
It's green. Do you cut it?
Cut.
With scissors or tape cutters?
Tape cutters.
Tape cutters. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And what's one?
And also, I know you're gonna hate this, but I have my control to the music in the kitchen.
Yeah. What's one thing that you do in the kitchen, like on your station, that you think enhances flavor? That is like if you want to sneak in flavor that not a lot of people think about.
I mean, I think for me, one of the things that I like to do is kind of make like an all-purpose like umami seasoning based again off of like byproduct that I'll usually like ferment and then dehydrate and make a powder, and I'll make infused salt or things like that.
So like any leftover ferments that are like.
I mean, for example, like scallion tops or something like that. Make like a Mexican version of like a scallion top kimchi.
Okay.
And then you like ferment that, and then you can dehydrate and make this like amazing acidic umami powder that you can put on anything. Things like that.
That's good. All right, chef. Let's start with the tape.
All right.
Use the blue tape or the green
I'm
tape?
using blue tape.
How dare you?
Yeah. I don't know.
kidding.
It's just easy.
Yeah. Do you cut it there?
I do cut it.
With tape cutters or with scissors?
No, I got a tape cutter. Just just the standard tape cutter that fits the blue.
What's the salt?
I like coarse sea salt, the Korean coarse sea salt. It's just like it's real chunky and
So is that like your all-purpose salt in all of the stations?
well, I use that to ferment like any of the kimchi or any
Is it
of
a specific
fermentation.
brand?
It's just like Aussie brand. It's like a Korean brand, but they use coarse sea salt just because of the natural like bacteria on it. But it actually works really well as a finishing salt.
Yeah. So is it the same salt that you use to season meat as well as finish it?
No, I just use I'm kind of weird because I marinate a lot of my meats in like soy based stuff.
Yeah.
But just diamond crystal for kosher salt, and then pepper.
Yeah.
But like that other one is for finishing, and I like having like chili oil.
Yeah.
I was gonna just like be a mamon and just be like, I need the lemon in the little lemon sock. When I was working at Jeffrey's, and I had a kid or a person set up all the garnish for me, and it was kind of dope because they had to do all the like the little square wipes and everything. So I would just walk in and everything would be all set up for me.
I mean, I like to. I mean, for me, I've always made it so that the food runner sets up the expedited station.
But it's like as long as you have like I'm with Gabe. I like making like infusions. I thought like the remember that the furikake we made with the corn. That would be like a really good. It was just like spent fermented corn that we like fried and made like corn nuts out of.
Yeah.
And then ground that up with like
black lime and
just like a bunch of other stuff. And it was very umami, but that would be like a nice like crispy thing that could go on a lot of stuff.
What's your like go-to finishing acidity? Is it lemon? Is it vinegar?
I like a chili vinegar. You know, kind of like a spicy vinegar, like what you would get for dim sum.
Yeah,
kind of like that always. But I think lemon juice to me is like freshly squeezed lemon juice.
So you have that on the pass, like finishing stuff?
Yeah, just.
I would say my most utilized finishing condiment is roasted kelp oil.
How do you
for
make
both
that?
savory and sweet.
Really? Roasted kelp?
That was something I learned elsewhere. But taking kelp, roasting it hard in the oven until it starts to blister, and then making an infused oil.
Just throw it in the blender,
like kombu, just like kombu, or like what?
Yeah, I mean, there's different kinds of kelp, but kombu works too. Clean it up, and then you roast it until it starts to blister, and then you make an infused oil with that. And it's just like, if you emulsify that into a sauce, or you drizzle it on ice cream, or it's just like it has a very unique flavor that goes with anything. It's like instant.
I gotta try
umami.
I gotta try that.
Yeah,
that sounds good. Well, chefs, before we wrap up, where can people find you? I know they know where to find you. You've been on before, but just tell them again.
Well, you can come see us at Oido over there on East Cesar Chavez.
In Austin, Texas?
Austin, Texas. We're open every day except for Monday.
Awesome. Chef?
Yeah. I look us up for our nonprofit supporting the youth of my communities in Cantunaquín, Mexico, the Yucatan, oido.co, oido.co. Also have a Tex-Mex project up in the greater DC area called Ometeo, Ometeo, and a super fun project working with Long Shot Hospitality.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. You know what to do. Make sure you leave 5 stars if you're listening on Spotify or anywhere, really. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. I've completely revamped the Chef's PSA store, shop.chefspsa.com. My team added a ton of new items. I advise you to go check it out. Just peruse, look around. Maybe you see something nice that you like. Keep supporting the show. Go to chefspsa.com. You get books, obviously the merch, early access to episodes on Substack and Spotify for premium members. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
No spawn drip in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction, stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, class is in session.